Amidst the weight of concern for Mark's health, Sarah imposed strict limitations on their intimate encounters, tying them to his weight loss milestones, a regimen that spanned over 2 years. Through dedication and perseverance, Mark embarked on a transformative journey, shedding a significant amount of weight, inching closer to his goal. However, as he stood on the precipice of quitting after such arduous efforts, Sarah's vehement refusal echoed in the silence, punctuated by a chilling ultimatum. If he abandoned his pursuit, their intimacy would dwindle to a mere 4 occasions annually, pushing her to seek fulfillment elsewhere. In the wake of Sarah's threat, the foundations of their marriage trembled, threatened by the weight of her words. Witnessing the myriad emotions flicker across Mark's face, shock, confusion, sadness, and eventually, anger, Sarah was forced to confront the repercussions of her actions. The realization dawned upon her with staggering clarity as she grappled with the gravity of her ultimatum, recognizing the extent of the damage inflicted upon their relationship. Mark's frustration surged forth, his voice tinged with disappointment as he recounted the Herculean effort invested in his weight loss journey, all in the name of meeting Sarah's expectations. Accusations of manipulation hung heavy in the air, shattering the illusion of trust that once bound them together. In the midst of their tumultuous exchange, Sarah's remorse seeped through, a recognition of her own greed and the irreparable harm wrought upon their marriage. As Mark sought solace in the solitude of the garage, Sarah's tears bore witness to the gravity of their situation, the seed of doubt planted firmly in his mind. Reflecting on her actions, she acknowledged the depth of her oversight, a failure to consider Mark's emotional well-being amidst her pursuit of personal fulfillment. Now, faced with the wreckage of their relationship, Sarah grappled with the daunting task of rebuilding what had been lost. For Mark, the hours spent in quiet contemplation amidst the clutter of the garage offered a respite from the storm brewing within. Despite the doubts gnawing at the edges of his mind, he couldn't fathom the possibility of Sarah's infidelity, clinging to the fragments of trust that remained between them. And as the echoes of their tumultuous exchange lingered in the air, both husband and wife were left to confront the harsh reality of their fractured union. Uncertain of what the future held for their once solid bond. Over the course of the preceding 2 years, Mark had grappled with intermittent doubts that lurked in the recesses of his mind, akin to shadows haunting the edges of his consciousness. Previously, he might have easily brushed aside such misgivings with steadfast conviction. However, Sarah's damning remark had planted seeds of uncertainty, eroding the bedrock of trust upon which their relationship had been built. No longer could he confidently assert her fidelity, nor could he dismiss the looming specter of potential future infidelity, a notion that had once seemed inconceivable now hung ominously over their union. As Mark stepped back into the familiar confines of their home, his heart weighed down by a burden of sorrow, his eyes fell upon Sarah's visibly distressed figure seated at the kitchen table, her countenance marked by the telltale signs of recent tears. Despite the twinge of remorse that tugged at his conscience, he maintained a steadfast resolve, determined to confront the concealed truth lurking beneath the surface. With a composed demeanor and carefully chosen words, he communicated his decision to abandon the stringent diet regimen they had been following. Instead, he proposed reverting to their previous agreement of infrequent intimate encounters, or even none at all, leaving the ultimate choice in Sarah's hands. Mark's warning echoed throughout the tense ambience of the kitchen, his words carrying an unmistakable weight of distrust. There was an undeniable seriousness in his tone as he made it abundantly clear that any breach of trust from Sarah's end would swiftly lead to the dissolution of their marriage. His stance on infidelity was resolute, his declaration leaving no room for ambiguity as he branded her as someone inclined towards whimsical fantasies, a damning indictment of betrayal in his eyes. With a somber gravity, Mark laid out his expectations, underscoring his absolute intolerance for any form of deceit or disloyalty. His words hung in the air like a heavy shroud, casting a shadow over their once harmonious relationship. It was a sobering moment, one that served as a stark reminder of the fragility of trust and the consequences of its breach. As he spoke, there was a palpable sense of foreboding, a silent warning of the consequences that would inevitably follow should Sarah choose to disregard his admonition. His intent to maintain a vigilant watch over her actions was made clear, a testament to the depths of his mistrust and the lengths he was willing to go to protect himself from further betrayal. In the wake of his stern warning, the atmosphere in the kitchen hung heavy with tension, each word spoken carrying the weight of their unraveling bond. It was a moment of reckoning, a decisive juncture that would determine the fate of their marriage and the path they would tread in the days to come. As Mark prepared to depart, the air crackled with unresolved tension, each word a dagger poised to pierce the fragile veneer of their fractured relationship. With a terse farewell, he left the confines of their home, the weight of uncertainty heavy upon his shoulders. Meanwhile, Sarah, consumed by remorse and self-recrimination, could only watch in despair as he disappeared into the depths of the night. Hours later, upon Mark's return, Sarah remained ensconced in her anguish, her tear-streaked face a poignant reflection of her inner turmoil. As the echoes of her sobs reverberated through the silence, Mark, like so many husbands before him, resolved to unearth the truth through his own brand of detective work. His first port of call was the telephone providers, where he obtained printouts of call logs spanning the past 3 years, meticulously combing through the data in search of any incriminating evidence. With each passing moment, the weight of uncertainty bore down upon them, casting a pall over their once unshakable bond. Yet, as they stood on the precipice of uncertainty, both Mark and Sarah were poised to confront the harsh realities that lay hidden beneath the surface. Their fates inexorably intertwined in the crucible of suspicion and doubt. Upon his arrival at the phone provider's office, Mark was met with initial resistance when he requested the data for the specified phone numbers. However, he swiftly pointed out the joint ownership of the account, effectively circumventing any potential obstacles. The offer of electronic data retrieval came at a steep price of $120, a cost that Mark deemed excessive but ultimately deemed necessary for the sake of expediency. Nevertheless, he made a mental note to reassess his choice of cell phone provider in the future. Upon returning home at around 4 o'clock post-Meridian, Mark tiptoed into the bedroom, where he found Sarah peacefully asleep on their bed. Deciding not to disturb her slumber, he quietly made his way to their home office, a sanctuary where he could delve into his thoughts undisturbed. With a firm twist of the doorknob, he secured the door, ensuring complete privacy as he delved into the task at hand. Seated at his computer desk, bathed in the soft glow of the monitor, Mark embarked on a meticulous mission. His fingers danced across the keyboard with practiced precision as he began the arduous task of transferring the data from the compact disc onto his computer. Each file was carefully sorted and cataloged, finding its place within a designated folder nestled within his documents. His focus was unwavering as he delved into the intricate web of call logs spanning 2 years, dating back to the pivotal month of September 2008. It was during this time that the seeds of suspicion were first sown, coinciding with the onset of his strict diet regimen and Sarah's inexplicable constraints on intimacy. With a keen eye and a sharp mind, Mark combed through the records, meticulously analyzing every entry for any semblance of irregularity or inconsistency. Each phone call, each timestamp, held the potential to unveil the truth lurking beneath the surface of their seemingly idyllic marriage. As the hours ticked by, Mark remained steadfast in his pursuit of answers, his determination unyielding despite the mounting fatigue gnawing at his bones. For him, this was more than just a quest for closure. It was a relentless crusade for the truth, no matter how painful or unsettling it may be. And so, enveloped in the hushed solitude of his office, Mark pressed on, driven by an insatiable hunger for clarity and resolution. Little did he know that the answers he sought lay hidden within the labyrinthine depths of those call logs, waiting to be unearthed by the unwavering resolve of a man determined to uncover the truth at any cost. Employing the formatting tools provided by the phone company, Mark meticulously organized the data into a detailed list, meticulously outlining every call originating from their home phone. Each entry meticulously documented the caller's number, the date and time of the call, as well as its duration. Engaged in this methodical task, Mark dedicated nearly an hour and a half painstakingly compiling a thorough log of their telephonic interactions spanning the past 2 years. However, just as he prepared to embark on a similar scrutiny of Sarah's cell phone records, an abrupt interruption shattered the prevailing silence, disrupting his focused concentration. The sound of the office doorknob rattling sent a jolt of apprehension coursing through Mark's veins, prompting him to swiftly conceal any evidence of his investigative endeavors. As Sarah stumbled into the room, a disheveled embodiment of remorse and contrition, Mark's heart softened at the sight of her distress. In a torrent of tears and broken apologies, Sarah confessed to the hurt and anguish she had inflicted upon him, acknowledging the depths of her wrongdoing. Grasping at forgiveness like a lifeline, Sarah implored Mark to absolve her of her transgressions, recognizing the gravity of her actions and the pain she had caused. In response, Mark extended his forgiveness, tempered by the weight of uncertainty that still lingered between them. He reassured Sarah of his love, yet underscored the sacrifices he had made during their tumultuous journey, sacrifices that had been motivated by his unwavering devotion to her. Though forgiveness was granted, it was tinged with a cautious optimism, a recognition of the fragility of trust and the arduous path that lay ahead. As they stood on the precipice of reconciliation, both Mark and Sarah were acutely aware of the daunting challenges that awaited them, yet resolved to confront them together, united by the bonds of love and forgiveness. In a somber yet resolute tone, Mark addressed the palpable tension that hung heavy in the air, likening the unspoken turmoil to a metaphorical gorilla in the room demanding acknowledgement. With unwavering clarity, he articulated the necessity of confronting the specter of uncertainty head-on, stressing the imperative need for definitive answers regarding Sarah's fidelity. In laying out the terms for their future together, Mark drew a stark line in the sand, delineating the conditions under which their relationship could endure. Recognizing the profound significance of the circumstance at hand, Mark emphasized the fundamental essence of trust in shaping the very foundation of their relationship. Bemoaning the irreversible harm inflicted upon it by Sarah's rash utterances and heedless behaviors, he held her responsible for the repercussions stemming from her impetuous remarks. Expressing incredulity at her seeming indifference toward his emotional welfare, he underscored the critical necessity for her to confront the full extent of the aftermath triggered by her actions. While Sarah harbored a glimmer of hope for absolution, Mark's unwavering resolve left little room for forgiveness without genuine remorse and tangible efforts at reconciliation. Her silent acquiescence spoke volumes, a poignant admission of culpability tinged with resignation as she retreated to the solace of their bedroom, tears staining her cheeks in silent testament to her remorse. Meanwhile, Mark sought solace in the familiarity of Grisham's, a nearby haunt where he and Sarah had once shared moments of laughter and camaraderie. In a poignant act of defiance against the emotional turmoil that gripped his heart, he indulged in the simple pleasure of a greasy yet satisfying bacon cheeseburger, allowing himself a brief respite from the weight of his sorrow. Returning home, Mark resumed his solitary vigil in the confines of their home office, methodically sifting through the labyrinthine maze of call logs from Sarah's cell phone. With practiced efficiency, he parsed through the data, each entry a breadcrumb leading him closer to the elusive truth that lay concealed within the labyrinth of their shared history. As the hours wore on, Mark's meticulous scrutiny unearthed a trove of revelations, each call log a testament to the intricacies of their interconnected lives. Yet, amidst the sea of familiar numbers and recognizable contacts, there lurked anomalies that defied easy explanation, raising unsettling questions that gnawed at the edges of his consciousness. In the quiet solitude of the night, Mark grappled with the weight of his discoveries, each revelation a potential harbinger of betrayal that threatened to shatter the fragile semblance of trust that remained between them. And as he delved deeper into the abyss of uncertainty, he braced himself for the revelations that awaited him, steeling his resolve to confront the truth, no matter the cost. Mark's meticulous examination of the call logs revealed a plethora of mundane connections, including calls to hair salons, stores, and various acquaintances, none of which aroused his suspicion. However, it was the persistent calls to two particular numbers that piqued his interest and ignited a raging inferno of suspicion and anger within him. Ever the methodical investigator, Mark resolved to delve deeper into the labyrinth of data, refining his search parameters to unearth the truth hidden within the cryptic digits. Sorting the calls by day and time for the enigmatic numbers yielded startling revelations that sent a chill down Mark's spine. Like clockwork, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock a.m., precisely 5 minutes before his weekly staff meeting, a call was placed to his cell phone. The synchronicity of these calls with his scheduled engagements left little room for doubt, each ring a damning indictment of betrayal echoing through the corridors of his mind. The second number, it transpired, was dialed consistently on Friday afternoons, coinciding with Mark's regular golf outings with his brother and friends. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, Mark's blood boiled with a potent mixture of rage and anguish, each call a tacit confirmation of Sarah's infidelity. Venturing further down the rabbit hole, Mark extended his investigation, scouring the annals of their telephonic history for any semblance of a pattern. What he discovered was nothing short of damning, a recurring pattern of calls made in the months preceding their marital discord, each ring a harbinger of the storm that loomed on the horizon. Armed with the knowledge of his wife's betrayal, Mark resolved to uncover the identity of her clandestine paramour. Employing every tool at his disposal, he conducted reverse lookups on the mysterious numbers, unearthing the identity of the individuals behind the calls. The revelation of Tony Bali's involvement sent a dagger of betrayal plunging into Mark's heart, his once trusted trainer now exposed as a willing participant in Sarah's deceit. With the puzzle pieces finally slotting together, Mark found himself standing at a crossroads, confronted with a daunting decision. Should he confront Sarah head-on, forcing her to face the consequences of her betrayal? Or should he retreat silently, nursing his wounds in solitude? The weight of this choice bore down on him heavily, each option fraught with its own set of challenges and uncertainties. Yet, amidst the turmoil of his emotions, one truth remained painfully clear: the trust that had once formed the bedrock of their marriage now lay shattered, irreparably damaged by Sarah's betrayal. The realization of this betrayal cut deep, leaving Mark grappling with a profound sense of loss and disillusionment. As he wrestled with the harsh reality of Sarah's infidelity, Mark knew that the road ahead would be riddled with obstacles and heartache. Each step forward would serve as a stark reminder of the shattered dreams and broken promises that now littered the path behind them. It was a sobering realization, one that left Mark reeling as he contemplated the uncertain future that lay ahead. He found solace in Brenda's presence, her warmth and genuine concern offering a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos of his crumbling marriage. As the night wore on, Mark found himself drawn to Brenda's infectious energy, her laughter and playful banter serving as a balm for his wounded spirit. In her, he found a confidant, someone who understood the complexities of human relationships and the fragile nature of trust. Their conversation meandered through the corridors of the past, each shared anecdote a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Despite the darkness that threatened to engulf him, Mark found solace in Brenda's unwavering optimism, her unwavering belief in the inherent goodness of the human heart. In Brenda's eyes, Mark saw a reflection of his own inner turmoil, a shared understanding of the pain and anguish that accompanied betrayal. And as the night drew to a close, Mark found himself grateful for the unexpected bond forged amidst the ruins of his shattered dreams. With a heavy heart and a newfound sense of resolve, Mark bid Brenda farewell, his thoughts consumed by the daunting task that lay ahead. But in Brenda's laughter and in her smile, he found the strength to face the challenges that awaited him, knowing that no matter what the future held, he would not face it alone. Reflected on the fragility of their relationship, her heart heavy with remorse and regret for the pain she had caused Mark. As she scrubbed the dishes clean, her mind raced with thoughts of redemption and reconciliation, a fervent desire to mend the shattered pieces of their once happy union. Meanwhile, Mark's mind buzzed with anticipation as he meticulously installed the surveillance equipment throughout their home, each box strategically placed to capture any suspicious activity. With a sense of grim determination, he vowed to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. In the evening, as they sat down to dinner, Sarah's efforts to bridge the chasm between them did not go unnoticed by Mark. He appreciated the gesture, though his heart remained guarded, the wounds of betrayal still fresh and raw. After dinner, Mark retired to the living room, his eyes fixed on the flickering screen of the television, yet his mind elsewhere, consumed by the weight of his suspicions. Sarah, meanwhile, tidied up the kitchen, her thoughts a whirlwind of uncertainty and remorse. As the night stretched on, a heavy blanket of silence settled over the house, enveloping Mark and Sarah in its suffocating embrace. In the quiet darkness, they were both left to grapple with the haunting presence of their past, the shadows of betrayal looming large and casting a pall over their uncertain future. Each moment seemed to reverberate with the weight of their shattered trust, the echoes of their fractured love resonating through the empty spaces of their home. Alone with their thoughts, Mark and Sarah found themselves confronting the ghosts of their shared history, their minds consumed by questions left unanswered and wounds left unhealed. In the stillness of the night, the air hung heavy with the unspoken words and unresolved tensions that lingered between them, a tangible reminder of the fragile bond that had once held them together. And yet, amidst the darkness and despair, there remained a glimmer of hope, the possibility of forgiveness, of redemption, and of healing. For even in the depths of their pain, Mark and Sarah understood the enduring power of love to transcend betrayal and to mend what had been broken. It was a fragile beacon of light in the midst of their darkness, a reminder that amidst the ruins of their trust, there still existed the possibility of rebuilding, of forging a new path forward together. Mark's evening was a whirlwind of covert operations and clandestine maneuvers, each action carefully calculated to gather the evidence he needed. With Sarah settled in the TV room, he seized the opportunity to plant a bug inside their home phone, ensuring that every conversation would be captured, both incoming and outgoing, without detection. Despite his nerves, Mark decided to proceed with bugging Sarah's cell phone, knowing the risk but understanding the necessity. It took mere minutes to complete the task, and soon he had a direct line to both of Sarah's communication devices, a crucial advantage in his quest for the truth. The next formidable hurdle presented itself, the covert task of planting a bug on Tony's phone. Armed with insight into Tony's habitual patterns and his close rapport with a particular well-built blonde, Mark identified a strategic opening at the gym. Seizing the opportune moment when Tony's attention was diverted elsewhere, Mark surreptitiously pocketed the phone, his movements swift and calculated. With a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins, he clandestinely maneuvered into the men's room, his senses heightened by the gravity of the operation. There, in the confines of the restroom, he executed the delicate task of inserting the bug into Tony's phone, his heart racing with the intensity of the clandestine mission. Returning to the gym floor, Mark faced another obstacle, getting the phone back onto Tony's towel without arousing suspicion. With a calculated risk, he slid the phone across the floor, hoping to avoid detection. As it reached its destination, relief washed over Mark, his confidence bolstered by the success of his stealthy maneuver. Back in his car, monitoring the bugs with his receiver, Mark's anticipation mounted as Tony's phone rang. His heart raced as he listened in on the conversation between Sarah and Tony, each word confirming his worst fears. Despite his inner turmoil, Mark remained composed, focused on gathering the evidence he needed to confront Sarah and Tony. As Sarah and Tony discussed their illicit meetings, Mark felt a mix of anger and betrayal, his resolve to uncover the truth hardened by their deceit. With each word exchanged, his determination to confront them grew stronger, fueled by a burning desire for justice and closure. Armed with the damning evidence from the bugs, Mark prepared to confront Sarah and Tony, knowing that the truth would shatter the fragile facade of his marriage. And as he braced himself for the storm that was about to come, he vowed to stand firm in the face of adversity, determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. With sunscreen, they reclined on their lounge chairs, chatting amiably and enjoying the warm sun. Sarah, feeling increasingly uncomfortable, excused herself under the pretext of needing to check on something inside the house. As she retreated indoors, her mind raced with suspicions and doubts, wondering about the sudden appearance of these women and their connection to Mark. Meanwhile, Mark observed the scene from a discreet vantage point, his plan unfolding as intended. With the help of Brenda, Sally, and Linda, he orchestrated a scenario designed to unsettle Sarah and sow seeds of doubt in her mind. He knew that her guilt and paranoia would only serve to fuel his revenge, pushing her further into the web of deceit she had woven. As Sarah retreated into the house, Mark remained vigilant, monitoring her every move through the surveillance equipment he had strategically placed. He could sense her growing unease, her facade of confidence beginning to crack under the weight of suspicion and uncertainty. With each passing moment, Mark's resolve hardened, his determination to expose Sarah's betrayal fueling his actions. He knew that the confrontation that lay ahead would be painful, but he was prepared to face it head-on, armed with the evidence he had meticulously gathered. As the afternoon stretched on, tensions continued to rise, both inside the house and out by the pool. Sarah, tormented by guilt and fear, struggled to maintain her composure, while Mark watched from the shadows, his heart heavy with betrayal but his mind sharp with determination. And as the sun began to set on that fateful Saturday afternoon, the stage was set for the final act of Mark's revenge, a reckoning that would shake the foundations of their marriage and change their lives forever. Liveliness of the poolside gathering, noting the camaraderie among the women. Sarah, feeling a mix of discomfort and apprehension, responded with a forced smile, her unease palpable as she struggled to maintain her composure. Mark, sensing Sarah's tension, decided to escalate the situation, subtly introducing Brenda, Sally, and Linda to Sarah, emphasizing their connections to him and the positive qualities he perceived in each of them. He observed Sarah's reaction closely, noting the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes as she processed the information. Brenda, Sally, and Linda, playing their roles to perfection, engaged Sarah in conversation, subtly reinforcing Mark's narrative and further unsettling her. They spoke of their admiration for Mark, their attraction to him, and their willingness to pursue a relationship with him, each comment designed to exacerbate Sarah's discomfort and sow doubt in her mind. As the afternoon wore on, Mark continued to orchestrate the scene, subtly manipulating the dynamics between Sarah and the other women, all the while maintaining a facade of casual indifference. He observed Sarah's growing agitation, her attempts to mask her emotions failing as the pressure mounted. And as the tension reached its peak, Mark seized the moment, confronting Sarah with the revelations he had gleaned from Brenda, Sally, and Linda. He laid bare the extent of her deception, exposing her infidelity and betrayal in front of the very women she had sought to deceive. Sarah, confronted with the undeniable truth, could only watch in shock and disbelief as her carefully constructed facade crumbled around her. She struggled to find words to justify her actions, but found herself speechless in the face of Mark's accusations. And as the truth finally emerged, Sarah realized the extent of the damage she had wrought, the trust she had betrayed, and the love she had lost. In that moment of reckoning, she knew that there would be no easy path forward, no simple solution to mend the shattered fragments of their broken marriage. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the pool deck, Sarah found herself alone, facing the consequences of her actions, while Mark, his revenge exacted, retreated into the darkness, leaving behind a legacy of pain and heartache. As Mark delivered his speech, his voice resonated with a blend of sorrow, disappointment, and resolve, each word bearing the weight of the emotional turmoil he had endured. He articulated that while the memories of their shared love would forever hold a place in his heart, he could no longer turn a blind eye to the betrayal and deception that had corroded their once vibrant relationship. With a heavy heart, he expressed his firm decision to part ways with Sarah, recognizing that their bond had been irreparably fractured by her actions. Sarah, in turn, found herself engulfed in a maelstrom of emotions as she absorbed the gravity of Mark's words. The realization of the irreversible damage she had inflicted upon their marriage hit her like a tidal wave, leaving her drowning in a sea of regret and despair. Despite her desperate attempts to plead for forgiveness or offer explanations, she found herself silenced by the resolute determination in Mark's eyes and the palpable anticipation of the three women who awaited their chance to be with him. As Mark walked away, his retreating figure symbolizing the demise of their once promising relationship, Sarah found herself enveloped in a suffocating cloud of remorse and regret. The echoes of their final exchange lingered in her mind, a haunting refrain of her own missteps and the irreversible damage they had wrought upon their bond. Alone with her thoughts, she grappled with the weight of her choices, each one a heavy burden that threatened to crush her spirit. In the silence of her solitude, she confronted the harsh reality of her actions, acknowledging the irreparable loss of the love she had once held so dear. And as she surveyed the wreckage of their shattered union, she understood that no amount of remorse could undo the damage she had caused or restore what had been lost. Mark's reluctance to violate his pledge was palpable as he stood firm in his decision to terminate the marriage, viewing it as the only viable solution to the wreckage of trust and fidelity. Brenda, taking on her dual roles as a bartender by night and a process server by day, presented Sarah with divorce papers pulled from her bag, delivering the sobering news with a solemnity that matched the weight of the situation. Sarah, overcome by a deluge of emotions, found herself unable to hold back the tears as the reality of the divorce papers hit her with the force of a tidal wave. In a last-ditch effort to salvage their crumbling relationship, Sarah turned to Mark, her words soaked with remorse and desperation as she begged for his reconsideration. However, Mark remained resolute, his doubts about Sarah's love echoing in his response, grounded in the evidence of her infidelity spanning over 2 years. The looming court hearing set for the following Friday cast a shadow over any hopes of reconciliation, marking the beginning of the end for their once promising union. Mark, with a heavy heart burdened by betrayal yet fueled by a determination to move forward, outlined his plans for the future, suggesting that embarking on relationships with Brenda, Sally, and Linda might offer him a pathway to understanding and forgiveness. With a flicker of hope amidst the chaos, he expressed the longing for a connection akin to the one he believed he once shared with Sarah, albeit with a newfound clarity and honesty. As the three women reluctantly bid their farewells, Mark retreated into the house to gather his belongings, bracing himself for the impending separation. Meanwhile, Sarah remained seated by the pool, her tears a silent testament to the shattered dreams and broken promises that now lay in ruins around her. Yet, even in the midst of her despair, she couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom as Mark approached her once more. Mark's words cut through the air like a sharp blade as he reminded Sarah of the consequences awaiting her former lover, Tony, whose actions had ignited a chain reaction of events leading to his brutal downfall. The grim reality of Tony's fate served as a stark reminder of the collateral damage wrought by infidelity, leaving both Sarah and Mark grappling with the repercussions of their choices. As Sarah packed her bags and made her way to her mother's place, the specter of divorce loomed over her like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over her once bright future. In the months that followed, she sank into a deep depression, grappling with the aftermath of her failed marriage and the harsh reality of her choices. Meanwhile, Mark found solace in the unconditional love of two golden retrievers, their unwavering loyalty serving as a beacon of hope amidst the wreckage of his shattered dreams. In the end, it was amidst the quiet companionship of his faithful canine companions that Mark found the true meaning of love and redemption, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of heartbreak and loss.